Hello, and thank you for joining me for another Wow moment. This is David, and today on the Wow, I'm going to be doing Renouncing Your Soul Ties. This video is very powerful and very important. I've been meaning to do this for a while, and I just want to get it started and get around to it before it slips my mind again and fades into the background while I bring it to the foreground. Now, um, basically, I just wanted to just do this video and just to go into what soul ties entail and how it has a lot of people going through a lot, just going through it with soul ties and stuff. People who have soul ties, and oftentimes with soul ties, it can bring negative energies and stuff. And it can also cause your walk with Yahweh to falter. So it's very important that we cut loose all our soul ties, basically, because not only is it demonic, but at the same time, it's also going to cause your walk with Yahweh to basically crumble. It's going to cause not only just your walk with Yahweh in general, but your whole life itself and stuff. Because I know quite a few people who are suffering from soul ties. I was someone who was suffering from soul ties, and thankfully I got delivered from soul ties because I just had so many of them. And I'm going to give you guys a few steps on how you can renounce your soul ties. It's very easy. Trust me, when you get through this first step and when you start going over certain things, the second step and the third step is going to be even more easier for you because it's all just simple steps, basically. For some of you, it might be a little more difficult because each and every individual, they have different soul ties, basically, and some of us have different situations. So the soul ties that you may be suffering from, another person may be going through it even more worse than you. But at the same time, this video is to help everyone, male, female, heterosexual, bisexual, homosexual, whatever you are, basically. It's to help you with your soul ties. And it's not so much as relationship wise or marriage wise. It can also be an attraction or a crush or friendship wise. But I'm going to break it all down to you all. And before I begin, sorry, let's pray. Father Yahweh, thank you for having me here another day. Yahweh Shai, thank you for being such a blessing in my life. I love what I am doing for the WOW, and I'm glad that I can help other people get set free from things. In the Father Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, amen. All right. So, soul ties. I'm going to get into it now. I'm just going to use myself as an example because I always love to use myself as an example because this is actually a testimony of mine, and this testimony of mine can actually help you as well. Now, for me, I really didn't know much about soul ties. I didn't know what it entailed, but I had an idea of it as I was listening to other truth seekers basically speak upon soul ties and stuff. Now, like I said, for me, it was still all new to me. I didn't know how much it was affecting my walk with Yahweh and how my walk with the Lord has been in like shambles, basically, because I was out in the world fornicating with various different people. And when you do that, when you're out in the world fornicating, you have to also remember that whoever you sleep with, you and that person's soul become as one. You become as one flesh, as stated in the Bible. So you want to keep that in mind for people who are living in fornication out there. Also, for the same thing for married couples committing adultery and stuff with your spouses and everything, you also can have negative soul ties as well. Now, soul ties, it's a very scary thing, and it's also a thing that latches onto you and it just stays on you, and it's very important that we renounce every soul tie that we ever encountered, basically. For some of you people who like to sleep around in fornication thinking that it's Sex is a great thing. Sex is, a dangerous thing. It's not so great at all. And for a lot of people who are in fornication, they're living in sin basically, and they're living in, you know, adulterous relationships and stuff. Not only just adulterous, but you are partaking in something that's very diminishing on your walk with the Yahweh. And what I mean by that is that for people who have like friends with benefits, for people who are just out in the world just having fun and just having sex with different people, it's also something that can be very dangerous as well, because there's a lot of things that come with fornication. There's diseases, there's infections, there's AIDS, such as AIDS and HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, quite a few of those scientifically mentioned curses from the Lord as well, because like I said, whatever we do on this earth, there's always a consequence for everything that we do, and that we had to adhere to those consequences. For a lot of you people who are out in the world fornicating, like I mentioned, AIDS, HIV, chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, all kinds of things and stuff, and that can affect you. But neither do any people mention about soul ties, because that's another powerful thing, because you have a lot of people who are pagans, you have a lot of people who don't have Yahweh or Yahweh Shai in their life. And what comes with that is that people have demonic spirits and demon possessions inside them. So whoever you fornicate with, basically, it's going to latch onto you, and you're going to carry that. And like I said, with soul ties becoming as one flesh, basically, you are one with that person. So let's say for a lot of you men out there who like to sleep around with various women, and for some of you who like to sleep around with various men as well, those very same people, whatever soul ties, demonic soul ties, or evil possessions that they have, if you're sleeping with them, it doesn't even matter if you're using protection, because there's no protection in fornication. Basically, what happens is that whenever you sleep with that person, whatever is inside that person comes into you, and you carry that. And whatever demons or demonic forces that's on that person stays with you. And the crazy part about it is that a lot of people don't even know that. Now, that's just the sex part. Another thing is basically friendship-wise or relationship-wise, for a lot of you people who aren't just living in fornication, for a lot of people who are dating and stuff. And if you notice that for a lot of you people out there who are in relationships, and you feel that your relationship isn't really working out, and you feel that your walk with the Lord has diminished out there, 9 times out of 10, basically, it was all a setup from the kingdom of darkness, which is why it's very important for us to have discernment, because when we don't have discernment, basically, when you accept a little, you accept a lot. And for a lot of you people out there who are in relationships, now I'm talking to all genders and all sexual preferences out there, and it's not just directed to heterosexuals. Basically, what doing so is that if you find that you're in a relationship that you're not happy, that you're always sad, let's say you're in a relationship where you're physically and verbally are fighting with each other and stuff, and arguing and stuff. If you feel the need that, for some of you people who are in a relationship and you feel like your relationship is only based on fornication, like for a lot of you women out there who are with your boyfriends and stuff, and if you feel like he's just wants to sleep with you all the time, and if you find out that he's cheating on you and that he's sleeping with other women, he's bringing a lot of soul ties from these different women, and also men too, because men, you tend to mess around with anyone who they can basically sleep with, men or women. They're bringing it onto you. So that's why it's very important to have discernment. And oftentimes, if you feel like your relationship isn't really working out, because 9 times out of 10 it really wasn't ordained by Yahweh anyway. And so that's a very important thing that you want to keep in mind. I know quite a few women who are suffering from soul ties because they're with these deadbeat men who basically sleep around with them, who are bringing like so many demonic forces from these different men and women that these men be cheating on with their girlfriends and bringing it onto them and defiling their bed, basically. Not only that, just men just like to run around and stuff, and men just doing so. And for women too, they do the same thing. So it's not just, I don't want this video to be basically biased to make it just on men or just in women, but it's all in the same, basically. So for a lot of you people who are in relationships, if you feel that your relationship is just going downhill, that it's just not getting better, that it's just getting worse and worse, like I said, 9 times out of 10, it wasn't ordained by the Lord. And also you have to keep in mind is that for, Satan, he has a lot of people who are under demonic forces, a lot of people who, Satan's, I call them Satan's people, because a lot of these people are demon possessed and a lot of people have demonic forces in them. And 9 times out of 10, they seek out God's people. For a lot of you people who are chosen by the Lord, which is quite a handful, not a lot of us are, but for anybody who's trying to get closer to Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, even for the pagan Christians and other religious people out there who follow pagan, religion and pagan Jesus and the pagan white God and stuff, that's also another important thing. So 9 times out of 10, like I said, Satan, he goes out to seek to devour and destroy, basically, because he hates Yahweh's people. So what he does is that he'll hook up these men with these pagan women and worldly women as well, because you have a lot of men out there who are very worldly themselves, because they aren't really truly men. They're not really truly men of the Lord. So when they're out fornicating, they have no idea that they could be hooking up with a pagan witch or a woman who has demonic forces in her. And for some of you women out there, you could be messing around with a man who practices voodoo or sorcery, or someone who's pagan, and also someone who's under demonic possessions as well. And oftentimes for a lot of fornicators out there, for you people who are living in fornication, a lot of you people are just, placing your souls into the devil's hands, because fornication is such a powerful thing. I cannot stress how powerful fornication is, because it just has so many people gone. And a lot of people who are living in fornication, they're oftentimes demon possessed themselves and have demonic spirits in them that causes them to live in fornication, because there are sex spirits out there that take over people. And for a lot of people who are out there who love to sleep around, who just love to have sex, who just love to hook up and have sex, oftentimes it's not so much as a flesh thing. This is actually something that's within you. So it's not that you're just fighting against the flesh, like I said, because in the Bible it says that we fight not against the flesh, but against the forces of the air and principalities and stuff. So a lot of people out there who are living in fornication, a lot of you also are, I would say, demon possessed, basically, and a lot of you are just being driven to fornicate. And it's not just so much as a flesh, it's beyond that, it's more powerful. And so getting back to the few women that I mentioned, I know one woman who I associate with, basically, she was having a man who was running around on her and just like causing all kinds of drama and just making her life like a living hell, basically. And I keep in contact with her. I'm not really friends with her. I keep my social circle very small, which isn't very important for a lot of people out there. You want to keep your social circle small. But as far as associates, I'm open to being associates with someone. She recently, the guy she was seeing for years, who was, living in fornication and just cheating on her, she recently moved out of where she was staying, and she's staying with someone else, basically. And that was her process of renouncing her soul ties. But she was with this man for months, just trying to make it work out. And the man she was seeing, basically, he was cheating on her with another transgender person. So she recently got out of that soul tie. Another soul tie, um, or soul ties, is my mom, who she was suffering from some soul ties as well. Um, Basically, she was with my father, and he was someone who was living in fornication, someone who was a drunkard and stuff like that, and a whole lot of other things. But he had passed away a few years ago. But when he had passed away, she was still open to dating different men, and these different men, they also were basically living in fornication and dishonest men, disloyal men, and stuff like that. So she had a series of unfortunate events with these men. And the last man she had left, basically, she basically renounced that soul tie. Finally, it took her long enough. It got to the point to where she was, just tired of men because she kept running into the same type of man. And this last man basically just kept playing with her heart, basically, and it got to the point where her entire soul and stuff that was inside her just basically faltered, and she got to the point to where she was considering suicide. She was considering like ending her life, basically, and this was just over some stupid man that she was seeing. And people just be going through it with these people with these soul ties. It's just so crazy, for how strong it can be that you want to take your own life because your relationship wasn't working out, basically. And I told my mom plenty of times that, because I had the spirit of discernment, and when I met him, when I went to visit 5 months ago, I didn't like him at all. I could just see that he was very disloyal, very dishonest, and I told her that from the get-go, and I told him that I didn't like him either. I have very strong discernment. I can tell, who's a good man, and who's not a good man, who's a good woman, who's not a good woman, because you can just see right through everything. When you are spiritual and stuff and you have discernment, you can see through that kind of stuff. So I told her prior months ago that she should have stopped talking to him, but she kept running back to him. He'd break up with her, or she'd break up with him, and then they get back together a week or so later. So basically it's like a get back together, just a break up situation. But she finally got out of that. She renounced that soul tie. That's a good thing. And she's been basically moving forward. I know a colleague of mine who's been suffering from a soul tie. She's been with her boyfriend for 10 years, but he was messing with another woman and had a baby by her, a baby by the other woman, I'm sorry. And, he's just been playing both of these women and just running back to my colleague and running back into the other woman, and then basically the baby is just a pawn, just to keep my colleague hooked up, with him. But he left her again, and I think for good this time. And she's just been going through it basically with this man she's been seeing for 10 years, and she just been crying a lot lately and stuff. Just been very sad. And for me, it's like when you're just going through it, for a lot of you ladies out there who don't have the true Yahweh and not the pagan God or the pagan white Jesus and the true Yahweh Shai, the Black Messiah, when you don't have him in your life and you're not spiritual and you don't have strong discernment, basically you're just going to be weak to this. And when you're weak to this, you're going to be suffering. You're going to be going through that, because a real woman of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai will be like, forget this man, I can do so much better. And for a lot of you women out there, you're just being with men that you're not even ordained to be with anyway. So if anything, when you know these kinds of things, that's why I'm doing this video, when you know these kind of things, that you will look at it, you will have a whole different perspective of it, because Yahweh Shai didn't want you with that man anyway. So that's why you were going through it with this man, and you just basically had a breaking point. So that's a few examples. Now getting back to me, because I had forgotten. I was someone who was living in fornication, so I had plenty of soul ties. But what I did basically is that I just got a notebook out. Well, basically it was on my phone, and I just started typing and typing away, just mentioning names of the different men that I had fornicated with. And the crazy part was that, I was living in serious fornication. I got set free from fornication, actually. Another testimony of mine. I'm going to be doing a video on that hopefully later on today. And but getting back to the more importantly, what I was talking about, what I did, I started writing down on this in my notebook app on my phone, just typing down these different men from what I remembered. And I couldn't remember all the men that I messed with because it was well over 30 or 40 or so, because that's how much I was living in fornication. And when I was writing down these men's name, I was just thinking about what did I do with this? What did I do with this man? Um, Usually, most of the men that I messed with, they were just it was just sex mostly. And I never been in a relationship before, but I have dated quite a few times, but I never been in a serious relationship before. So usually, it was like friends with benefits type of thing. So like I said, so I was just writing down these different names and different examples, what I like about this person, what I didn't like about this person, and I was just going through these different names from what I remembered and stuff. Because for a lot of people out there, when you fornicated with someone, it could be weeks, it could be months or years later, you can still be thinking about that person. It's just amazing whoever you sleep with, who has a stronger soul tie on you, you can be thinking about this person. And some of these men that I mentioned, I haven't seen them, and I haven't slept with them in quite a few years, in months or so. And it was just kind of weird how I was just thinking about them, because that's what Satan does. Basically, he makes you think about these past men that you were sleeping with, basically, which can lead you back into fornication and to get more soul ties. So when I written down these different names, it was names from like 2011, 2010, men from months ago that I used to mess with, and I just started renouncing each and every one of their names, and I was just praying to Yahweh Shai to get me released from these soul ties and to renounce these soul ties in the name of Yahweh Shai, in the name of the Father Yahweh. Also, at the same time, what I did, I basically repented from all the soul ties and from all the men that I slept with in the past, basically. And it's basically just a cleansing of the soul when you do that, when you renounce all these different soul ties. That's a powerful step that you would want to do. And the next thing I did, I fasted. I went on a 2 week no meat fast. And when I went on that 2 week no meat fast, it was just so powerful, because I was someone who was fighting against the flesh, and I was just sacrificing for the Lord, basically, and he just basically delivered me from renouncing my soul ties. But as far as being set free from fornication, I did that a few months ago. I want to do a video on that probably later today or so, my testimony for that. Once I renounced the soul ties, once I had got set free from fornication, I still didn't renounce my soul ties. That's two different things. Getting set free from fornication is powerful, but you also have to renounce all the men, all the women, whoever you slept with, for a lot of people, whatever your sexual preference is. Because I don't care what nobody says, a lot of you men out there, you've also had sexual relationships with other men and women. For a lot of you women out there, you've had sexual relationships and fornications with different women and men too. So like I said, it's for all genders, and it's all for sexual preferences. And I'm not just trying to target just the heterosexual people. It's for everybody. You have to renounce your soul ties. So what you want to do, if you're someone who likes to write, get a notepad and a pen, just write down every name, like everything you liked about this person, whatever you didn't like about this person, and what you want to do. Oftentimes it's helpful, because that one particular person may have been the right one for you, and you just didn't even know it, because there's also quite a few good men out there. So like I said, when I renounced the different soul ties and I wrote these different names down, basically, I kind of cried a little bit, I cried because, it was just amazing a moment, because I was just like, going through these different soul ties. Like I said, it's like a spiritual cleansing. It's amazing spiritual cleansing when you start renouncing your different soul ties. And when I did it that night, I immediately started repenting and talking to Yahweh about it, just like repenting for what I had done, from all the fornication that I had committed, basically. And the amazing part about that was like basically the second step I should have took when I got set free from fornication months ago. But I'm glad that I did. renounce all my soul ties from a month ago. So for a lot of people out there, you will want to definitely do that step. Um, or you could try a different step. This is the step that I had did because I learned this from someone else. Basically, I learned this from another person's step. So basically, I had taken that step just to do it for me, and it worked perfectly. So now that I've given you the first step with writing down, well, this is my step. For a lot of you out there, it may be different, so you might want to try something else. But definitely, I think the most helpful thing would to write all your soul ties down, all the men you've been with, all the women you've been with, and it doesn't have to be sexual. It could just be someone you were friends with, or someone you were in a relationship with, or whatever. And you may have had some problems with this person, but even if it was good or bad, just write it down, and trust me, it's going to help you. Your second step would be to repent, to the Lord and talk to the Lord about it, and the third step will be to go on a fast and pick a fast. It's a very powerful fast. You might want to go on a week fast or a 2 week fast. I would say a week fast because the longer you fast, the more deliverance you will receive. That's another step. And when you go on your fast, you also want to do a lot of praying too. Praying that because once you renounce your soul ties, that's one step, but it's not completely renounced until you go through all these steps. Because you have to write these different names down. You have to repent. You have to talk to Yahweh. You have to fast, and you have to keep praying while you're fasting too. And while you're doing that, you're gonna experience that spiritual cleanse, and you're gonna be fully set free from all your soul ties. And it's going to be so amazing, people. Trust me, I did it. You can do it too. And like I said, if you're serious about your walk with Yahweh, you definitely want to get set free and renounce all your soul ties, because if you don't, you're going to have all those spirits from all these different people, those negative spirits and negative energies latched onto you, and you need to get set free from all those negative spirits and stuff, because if it's going to be something that's going to, like I said, keep you from Yahweh and stuff. And Yahweh, like I said, like I always say, he's definitely for his people. He wants to be there for you. He wants to help you and stuff. He knows everything that you're going through, but he can't really help you unless you want help. This video can lead you to the water, but it can't make you drink. Like that old saying, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. I'm leading you all to the water, and you must drink, basically. And like I said, Yahweh knows everything that we're suffering from, everything that we're going through, but he wants to help us. But he needs to have that relationship with you. And like I said, having a powerful relationship with Yahweh is an amazing thing, and with the Son Yahushai. That's why I tell people that it's very important that you have to keep your social circle small. You can't be friends with a lot of people. You can't be hanging with your family members all the time, because it's all worldly, basically. And you can't be living in fornication. That's another thing. You can't just be sleeping around with different men and women, because even when you renounce your soul ties and everything, and you go back and you fornicate, basically you're just going back on what you were saying, and you're not being committed. You can't just renounce your soul ties, go on a week or two fast, repent, and pray to Yahweh to get set free from your soul ties fully, and then go back in the world and fornicate again, because basically you're just starting all over. So that's the very, very last step, for a lot of people out there who are living in fornication. You want to get set free from fornication first, and then you can renounce your soul ties secondly. That's what I would do, because when you get through the very first hard step, fornication, that's going to be something that is going to be very vital for your walk with Yahweh. So I just wanted to do this video on that, and I hope that this video helped a lot of you, and I hope that you will take these steps into consideration. Trust me, I did it. You can do it too. Anybody can get set free when they really, really want to, because a lot of people out there who claim to be following Yahweh and Yahushai, they're just making claims. Like I said, it's very vital for you. Faith without works is dead, people. And you can have all the faith in the world, but if you Don't have, but if you're not putting any works into it, it's not going to work. Thank you. Have a good one.